Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Hey guys, Dustin Nguyen.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Tom King. I write Batman Bitch, and this is Bat Force Radio.
All right, welcome back to Bat Force Radio, the Batman/DC podcast with no limits, reporting live from the epicenter of the epicenter of the epicenter. I got Bat Force Tom over in California.
Humana.
I got the Grumpler over in New York.
Yo.
Got Robin Cross up in Canada.
What's happening?
You got Teasus over in Jersey.
Believe me.
And I got Grandpa Batman over in Texas.
Yes, sir.
So this is a Bat Force town hall meeting.
State of emergency.
I wanted to discuss this topic. Basically, the question of being that Diamond is supposed to start redistributing books and possibly merch.
Just before we started recording, Steve was asking about this, so I'll just get that right out of the way. So, in the last couple weeks, there was a retailer who tweeted about Diamond having scheduled a shipment of DC books to ship on April 20th. And then news sites started running with that. So really quickly in response to that, Diamond put out a statement saying, okay, slow down. We put that up because we have to have a date listed. You know, they had to put in their final order numbers with DC for books that DC wanted to ship. So for their database, they had to have a date. So that was their like a speculative date. So best case scenario, they were thinking possibly we could ship on April 20th, but we don't know if that's a firm date so far. I expect that'll be updated, and it might end up being a little bit closer to the end of April, maybe even beginning of the next month. But just yesterday or the day before, Marvel put out a statement that they intend to begin publishing at the end of this month.
Leads us into the big question of what will the future look like? What will the near future look like for comic book shops in a COVID-19 world right now? And I'm really curious because it's strange thinking about when you go, like, say when we go to Midtown Comics or Royal, it's like everyone is on top of each other. They get their titles. People are picking up books, looking through them and putting them back on the shelves, things like that. And now that's like comic book culture. Wednesdays, you go, you get your comics, you talk to people, you're looking through books, yada yada. But now everything's changed for the foreseeable future, and it's like, what is the future going to be like for comic books? Are they going to be polybagged? Are we going to have to wait online to get it? Are there going to be appointments to pick up curbside? Plexiglass in front of the cashiers? No more cash? Robin, you know, you would have a really good idea about all of this and what's in the near future. What do you think?
I think a lot of it is going to be different regionally. It depends on how hard places were hit and where they stand as of when things start to get moving again. So places that are doing okay, and we're already seeing that some places are already trying to open things back up already. So I think some places are going to be in better shape and more able to function a lot closer to normal than some of the harder hit places. Like, I imagine New York is going to be a while before you guys get anywhere near normal again. But some places we might see get a little bit closer to that. And I think everyone will, over time, start to trickle back towards normal. But as of right now, we're waiting for the go-ahead to start again with curbside. Right now, all we can do is home delivery. And there's a lot of talk of shops not surviving this shutdown time. And I can see that being the case for shops that are not in a position to offer home delivery, or if they don't, or if they don't make, yeah, exactly, if they don't make, if they don't have a lot of stock in the way of back issues, or more diversification of their products, like action figures, pop figures, other collectibles. I can see those shops going down, but my place in particular is still doing quite well, considering that we can't be open to the public, letting people come in. We're taking orders online and over the phone and doing deliveries out to houses, and it's, at the very least, it's enough to pay the bills. And between shops being able to do the bare minimum amount of business like that, and with gaining subsidy payments from local governments, I think most shops should be able to get through this, because it's not going to be too long a time yet.
I'm probably giving away $1 million idea here. I should probably keep my mouth shut. But this is a perfect opportunity for someone to come up with a comic shop system where it's like Uber Eats, where the comic shop has like a pull system, and based on whatever you're pulling that month, you get a delivery at your house from a dude that you're not paying directly, you're just paying off the app. Maybe it's like the Shops app, and like you don't even, just once a month this guy comes and brings you comics. And because that's like a great way to combat all the issues that a lot of these places might be having, depending upon where you live, is you don't want people coming and getting a lot of foot traffic through the shop. So this is a good way of just bringing it to them. But I think
Geeks to go. I'm on it, Tom. Thanks for
it's funny you say that, because I've talked about the potential of doing something like that. Because where our shop is located, we're across the street from a bus station.
Oh,
so it's the bus depot. Like where all the city buses go, and the Greyhound buses as well. And right across the street, like so. On our side of the street, so right across from the bus station, is a pretty busy cab stand. Anytime you look out, there's usually anywhere from 2 to 5 cabs sitting there waiting for fares. So we're in a great place where even cab drivers could pick up a job like that, where they don't have a fare. Because how often do you see? I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but oftentimes around here you'll see a cab sitting somewhere, for maybe an hour, waiting for the next fare to come in. So those guys could have the option to swing a delivery like that, and they're right there beside us. Like we have a fleet of cabs basically sitting right there. They could just take a delivery, go back out, and maybe while they're out on that delivery, they get another fare, and then they can go from there.
It's funny you mentioned that, where I see cabs sitting around all the time. Get a job, cabs. Quit sitting around.
What a jerk.
Dude, but what's been scary is, I think like something, regardless of how well you might be doing or not, the one thing that has really shown, like right now, how important social like media is if you're not open. Because if you're a shop that isn't open, the best thing you can do is keep engaging your customers, like through email, through social media posts. Because the shop by me, the one that because it's close by and for the most part they're somewhat reliable, I haven't gotten any word from what's going on in a month. And I was just saying it earlier in the chat, I'm like, dude, like what? Like I don't know if this place is going to be open like whenever they start letting people open. Whereas like there's all these other shops I know that are doing home delivery. Even if they're not doing home delivery, they're doing like Instagram lives, they're like doing raffles, they're doing all this stuff to keep their clientele in on the loop. So that way is the minute that they open up, people are going to be there. And it's like, man, if you're a comic shop that if you're not providing a service, like you need to provide some sort of like contact with the outside world. Because no joke, man, like I don't know if that shop's going under or not. I just literally have no idea. And it's sad because they were a pretty good shop, especially in like the area they were in, like over here in Claremont? Yeah, Claremont in over here in California. Like there's a nice little downtown area, always foot traffic of people who aren't comic readers going in there, kids picking up toys. They had a good assortment of toys. They didn't have a lot of back issues, which fucking really is probably hurting them now. But they were big on the hardcover graphic novels. They're big on the indie books. They had like a t-shirt wall. They had a bunch of pops. they always had every Mezco that was hard to get. Like they order almost every Mezco they can. So, you know, they had all the good like figures. But it's like, dude, like put up a Facebook post, put up an Instagram post. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah. If you're being proactive and you have product you can continue selling, it's very sustainable, especially given the fact that so many comic readers and even just people in the community are eager to help keep places afloat. Because we have the home delivery going. A week ago today, I went into the shop and I spent a couple of hours probably doing a virtual tour. So I took a bunch of pictures in every different room of the shop and did a video where I walked in from the front door and walked through every room of the shop and just threw that up on the Facebook page. And keeps the shop in people's minds and helps keep people active. They see things like, oh yeah, even if it's not, something to read, it could be a statue that, like, oh yeah, I'd been eyeballing that before all this happened and I haven't spent any money in 2 months. So I'm going to call up the shop and ask them to bring me that statue. So, there are a lot of ways for places to keep money coming in.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to go, there's a different comic shop by me, but that makes me fucking want to support them. Like, I know they got statues in there right now and, haven't been able to buy comics in over a month and a half. Like, there's a little bit extra change in your pocket. Like, I can afford a statue right now, like a nice little black and white or something like that. Like, that's what people, if you're like wondering what can I do to help support like my local shop, like buying figures and statues right now is like the perfect thing. Because
and that's really the best thing, because shops, sure, they don't have an overhead as far as they're not paying invoices for new product coming in, but depending how much they're getting from the government and what their rent and utilities and everything are, just doing that can make all the difference for them. Just if a couple people do what you just said and ask them, hey, do you still have that statue in there? I would like to grab that. That can help them survive the week.
Yeah. What is it that was it Midtown that had a GoFundMe or something? Who was
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden. Oh shit.
Yeah, and they're in a really dense part of downtown Manhattan. It's like the East Village area, and it's Manhattan. Rent is high everywhere. Yeah. And I mean, for you to apparently it says on their post they shut down their website.
Oh no.
So I think the wording is that we just turned our website on again. Well, that means you shut it off at some point, which. Well, I don't know why you would do that, and God, even do an eBay store. I mean, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
What do you have to do besides take pictures of your stock and just throw it on eBay, and then do the social media thing? And
because they're not a mom and pop. They got a place don't they have a place in the UK too?
There's Forbidden Planet in the UK, but I don't know if it's same ownership or what.
There used to be one at Universal City Walk. I don't know if they sold it though. It used to be Forbidden Planet. I'm pretty sure it was owned by the same people in New York, but they ended up selling it. I don't know if there's still a collectible shop there, but I remember it well. Like, it was a legit shop.
Yeah.
And always had Hot Toys in there. Always had statues and figures. That was a dope ass little place to come check out. But that's man.
It's a great shop. I mean, and the stuff is just I guess sitting there not collecting dust. Like, why not try to move?
Yeah. The funny part is, I was talking to the guys a while ago. They're trying to raise $300K on their GoFundMe.
Oh shit!
I felt like that was overly eccentric. Like, to be asking for charity like that was a little crazy. But I mean, I don't know what their goal is.
What the rent is.
That was my second question. Like, in their statement, they wanted to pay for rent for the next couple of months and pay their staff. But to me, I felt like 300K was really crazy. Like, do live auctions. Like, I see Royal Collectibles, Torpedo Comics. They're treating this like QVC almost, and that kind of fascinates me because it's such an older format and engine that's been out forever, and it still exists. And it was kind of cool to see that happening again. And now you're kind of engaging with people in live chats, and it's almost like a bidding war. But that's another way to really start selling your back stock. And, it keeps people engaged, because the reason why we go to these comic shops is because we want to have that experience, and that's the thing that I question with this whole delivery process, because we love to be Wednesday warriors and walk into the shop and see the same faces every week. And obviously we're not going to get that for the next few months. So,
yeah, I guess it all depends on the type of person that you are. If you don't mind being in like a lockdown versus, because I thought I was being the same way. I thought I was going to just miss going and doing all this shit. I'm having a fucking great time. Like,
same.
Like, to be honest, like I'm able to work from home. I just took a week off from work because I was working my ass off because they're beating us over the fucking head with this work from home bullshit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm still working, so I can take a vacation, can't I? Like I would any other day. And my boss is like, yeah, you can. I was like, I'm gonna take a fucking week off. Took a week off. This quarantine thing ain't that bad. Like, I go online.
Speak for yourself, man.
It just depends on like. I think it's my cave has is everything I need. The bathroom is 5 feet away. Fridge is 10 feet away. But going back to comic shops and what they're able to do right now. Shout out to for Torpedo Comics, John Dolmayan's place. But they also have one in Orange County now. That I think it's Torpedo by name, and John does own it, but it's very much operated by a guy who used to own his own shop in Orange County, and both the Las Vegas store and the Orange County store are killing it with those live auctions. Yeah, they're going live like every fucking day, and they're selling comics every day. Like, if you're looking for high grade like key issues, they are literally doing live auctions on those things every single day, and the books they're pushing and moving is very awesome. And good for them. They have the ability to do that, and they have people that know how to run the social media account to be able to do that. It's just it's crazy, but it's also cool to see the shops are able to adjust and adapt. But yeah, man. I don't know. Like it all depends on the person. If you really have to go into a comic shop physically, you love doing all that stuff. If you don't mind it getting delivered, that works too. It saves me from having to smell the stinky guys that are in there all the time.
That's one thing that I think is going to be interesting to see when this all does start to go back to normal. When we start getting the okay to leave the house and go places again, how many people will have spent 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it is, when things start to go again, growing accustomed to having everything delivered. I want a burger. It gets dropped off at the door, contactless delivery. I've been getting my comic books delivered by my local shop. How many people get comfortable with that? And when things get back to normal, I just want to keep doing it this way. I don't want to go get my books. I still want my books delivered every week. Fuck that.
Yeah, and that's another thing, with once shops open up, what are they going to be, doing? One, people like to go in, they like to touch the books, and they like to touch items and stuff like that. Are they going to have, is your shop going to be having like a dispenser at the door saying, here, clean your hands before you come in and touch our books? And, everything's going to be different. Are you going to, like here in Texas, they've opened up some retail businesses, but only at like 25% capacity. And, I don't know how that's going. It's just starting out, but are they only going to allow X number of people in a shop at a time?
Definitely. Yeah. I think, it all depends on I know for us in LA County, they haven't lifted anything yet for essential businesses or anything beyond an essential business, but they're saying that they may, in the next couple of weeks, start letting certain non-essential businesses open up, but they still haven't described the guidelines for what that would mean and look like. I know right now every essential business that's open, they are only allowing a certain amount of people inside at once. You're supposed to keep 6 feet apart. So yeah, comic shops, if you're in like an area that's like that, I highly doubt they're going to let you thumb through stuff and it be, more than maybe 2 or 3 people browsing at a time. I don't know, man. It just depends on where you live, I think. What's the stay-at-home orders for you guys where you're at right now? I know Gramps, fucking Texas, is like, woo!
They don't give a shit. They're just
business,
like,
baby.
Yeah. everything is bigger in Texas, including the egos and the assholes, and they just want to, it's ridiculous. There's still people that, even refuse to even wear any of the face mask or anything like that, and that's fine, but I think you should, have some respect for the people that are not trying to catch it and stuff like that. And then, in Texas, a lot of it, and I can say this because I do have family members that work in this business. So, anyone that's listening to this is my 2 cents. But a lot of it here in Texas is these rich ass oil people that just want their $1 million bonuses. Yep. They want to go back to work to make their, millions of dollars. So, they're kind of putting their money before people's lives. And I get it, when there are people that, they're out of work. There's a number of people that we know that are out of work because of all this, and they want to get back to normal. And that is perfectly understandable. I want things to get back to normal. But the thing is, it's crazy how this one little virus has been a total reset for us as a global society. There's never going to be a normal like we used to know. We're all adjusting to a new normal. So that's what's going to be interesting. And, I was telling a buddy of mine, you ever, watch these science fiction movies and how societies in the future, everything's so digital and sophisticated and sleek. And, sometimes I'm like, how did they, if that is going to be kind of the future, and we've seen it in our lifetime, how things have changed with just iPhones and computers and things like that, things that we only dreamed of as kids. What's it going to be like 100, 200 years from now? And this event here, in our lifetime, we're seeing technology is having to respond to situations and lifestyles and new business formats to keep up. And we're at the forefront right now of seeing all that, stuff that's going to be in the future happening now.
Yeah, I want to know how many comic shops are going to go under, actually. I'm kind of curious because I think it's
and
hard
I'm wondering,
for regular business to survive right now. And how hard it is to run a comic shop. So this is why.
Well, it's not just the comic shops, but how's the comic industry going to change? Because now, is this going to pretty much, you're seeing now like DC and Marvel go digital first, because they still want to sell product and they still want to keep their employees and their creators employed. So is everything going to pretty much start moving more towards the digital format? And then after a while, print it and collect it in like a collected graphic novel or hardcover versus, selling the singles.
Right.
Well, I think we're only a few weeks away already. Like DC is rolling comics again. Marvel is a few weeks from getting back to rolling their comics out again, and I'm sure the indies follow suit. So we're already getting back to them printing. I think the only real question is going to be the method of distribution as far as retailers to end customers. If it's going to be if people are able to go into shops, or if curbside is available, or if it has to be home delivery or mailing. But I don't think the physical issues are going anywhere. It's just going to be a question of how they get into customers' hands.
How does that work, though? Like, what if it's a shop that either they don't... I mean, like, let's pretend that, what is it, May 20th, I think the date that I heard?
April 20th was
20th.
The, just like a save the date kind of thing.
Okay, so let's pretend April 20th, like books are going to be sent, or books are already going to be at shops. What about a shop that like can't, like let's a little mom and pop that just can't open? They're not going to be open. Like, are they just fucked with those books?
Yeah, probably. I think the places that aren't going to survive this are the ones that either are not able or refuse to adapt to where we are right now. Like, we're already seeing some of it with the shops that when this went down that they just shuttered their windows and said, okay, we're not going to do anything, are the ones that have been hurting all this time, and the ones that adapted and said, okay, well, this is where we're going to offer home delivery, we're going to sell stuff on our website or on our social media, and we're going to keep things moving. Those are the places that are still doing okay. The ones that have had their doors closed for 2 months probably aren't doing so hot.
Quick shout out to my old shop, Collector's Paradise in Pasadena, Winnetka, North Hollywood. They reformatted their website, I believe, where it used to be your pull list was on their website. You go on their website, log in, you just put check boxes on all the books that you want. I think they updated it to now include hardcovers and trade paperbacks, so you can fucking order hardcovers and trade paperbacks on their website because of the single issues not being out. And they've been doing mail orders. And I mean, just I wish so badly that I lived close enough to keep going to my old shop because they're killing it. Shops like that, man. Like even like, yeah, I mean, they're even if you're not close by, you can order from them because they're doing mail orders, so that helps them out. Any like, what are your guys' specific shops? Are they open? Are they doing? What are they doing?
I go to Midtown, so they're still, I guess, doing their thing.
Good. They're still, and they've been doing mail order like globally, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah, Midtown is closed, but they're just running everything online from what I've seen.
Yeah.
My shop is, closer in to where I work, so it's actually about 30 miles away. And I've seen where, it's they're doing the curbside stuff. I see that on every Tuesday they have a Facebook Live. I don't know if it's not really an auction, but they say here are features of the week, and they sell graphic novels for like $4, $6, and a lot of they're selling off a lot of their back issue stuff. But they'll have weekly specials on their Facebook.
That's good to hear that at least they're able to kind of, man, because there's a shop like near me. I don't go to it because it's an old ass shop with an old ass guy that runs it, and it's one of those places. It's like the building looks like maybe he lives in the back. Like it's like it looks like a converted house that he just kind of added a comic shop to the front of it. And I know for a fact that fucking guy ain't going to the post office. He's not delivering shit to your house. So I'm just wondering, like, what's going to happen to that shop? He's probably going to have
to get your books, and they smell like cigarettes he just smoked in there. And...
yeah, man.
But that's a good point. Like, if he owns the building, he'll probably be okay.
Comic book heaven, Grumps.
Yeah. Oh man.
Which one was that? Is that the one that they did the YouTube video on?
Yeah.
That guy was awesome.
Guy hated Marvel Comics.
But he had good points though, and you know what? That's actually a good point. Like with all that shit, that's prevalent right now. Like all these reboots and all these issues with like continuity changes and there's a lot of shops that stop putting their faith into back issues, and because of that, right now they can't sell shit because they don't have anything. But they can't sell new comics, and they didn't put any consideration to their back issues. So what the fuck are you selling if you're not selling statues and toys and other things? Like that's kind of a good point. It's like what I hope they do now is I hope at least the big two to kind of set an example is make the ongoing comics that much more important to the overall like status of the just like that these books should be what carry people into comic shops, and you should hold significant in weight with these stories to where maybe like fuck man, like I would be okay with instead of a single issue Batman getting like 4, 5, 6 issues in a collected form in a nice little packaging, maybe less frequently. And and it gives the artists and the writers more of an opportunity to think about it in that sense, where like you're selling a story that's going to be over 4 or 5 issues, so you want to make it like a little bit more weighty, I guess, or because it's like fuck, man, like it's so easy to bash on Marvel, but like, what was the last time I gave a shit about pulling a Marvel book consistently? I can't remember because it's just been so terrible with how often they've started and restarted stories. Like they just, Hickman just did it to him again. Jonathan Hickman just wiped out the entire X-Men universe and started over again. And they had just, started. Tom Taylor was on like issue number 8 of his X-Men story. Fucking, they just wiped that one clean and started again.
And that was a funny one because I felt like that was what they had to do to keep him. I'm not going to name names, but there was someone who had told us a while, like this is going back 2 or 3 years ago, maybe now. There was someone in the industry that told us that it looked like Hickman was maybe about to move over to DC if a TV thing he was trying out didn't go through. And then that thing didn't go through. And then it looks from the outside, I haven't asked anybody, but from the outside, it looks like Marvel said, okay, what do we have to do to keep you here? And he said, cancel all your X-Men books and let me start it all over.
Just to see if they'd fucking
And they're like, okay.
And then Rob Liefeld shit his pants.
Oh, man. Well, that's like every other day.
Major X, goodbye, sir.
Thank you.
So what happened to Major X real quick? They got canceled, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was... I don't know if this was like it's a kind of chicken and the egg situation. I don't know what came first, them canceling it and him leaving, or him leaving them so they canceled the book. Or, yeah, I'm not sure which order it happened, but he cut ties with Marvel again, and so now he burned bridges with DC and Marvel. So I guess he's just going to do indie stuff. But
Comicsgate, he'll be a Comicsgater now.
Oh man,
sell one book every 6 years. It'll be unfulfilled and back and late.
Oh yeah, he's still got that Kickstarter. I wonder if he's using this extra time to take care of that Kickstarter.
I heard he started paying some of the people back.
Oh, that's good.
So,
if not all of them.
So if people start buying more digital comics, is that going to hurt the comic book shop industry as well? Like, what do you think of that? That's going to go.
Well, they have to.
That's a.
Have they meant? They haven't said. I think I did hear. Was it Scott Snyder tweeted? Someone asked him that. Like, are you guys going to start selling digital? Are you going to do all digital now? And he said, we are holding off on digital because we know if we start doing that, it's going to kill comic shops. So I know that they're aware of that, and they are, at least at that time, they weren't wanting to move forward with that.
As far as digital just taking over, since digital comics began, there have been people saying, "Oh, this is going to change the comic industry." This is going to be the end of shops, and it's been at least a decade now, and it accounts for a very small portion of people. Like I think the majority of comic readers also have the collector gene. So they don't just want to have a digital copy. Most of us want to have that tangible physical thing in our hands.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's ever going to come a point that digital kills it. If anything kills comic shops, it would be something like this, making them not able to do regular business for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, you can't really you can't hold a auction on Instagram for digital comics.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but
CGC and signature.
Isn't it the last form of media, holding on, basically? I mean,
physical
movies.
media.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, how many record shops out there, music shows,
right.
stores. I mean,
yeah, and even the ones
kind of sort of holding on, but
even record stores, some of those are more novelty than they are
Yeah, they've come back. Vinyl stores have come back in recent years, but there's nobody selling tapes, so What does the CD section look in a Best Buy or Target?
God, dude, it's fucking sad. There one even?
So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, up until recently, there were comic shops that were making pretty. It's like that was people's living, and you were able to do it. And I think it's like there's things that you get in a comic shop that you can't get anywhere else. So that helps them too. You know, there's things comic shops order and know how to order that no other store either doesn't know how to or they can't for whatever reason. It's, you got to go to a comic shop if you want to get the certain comic that you need, or the physical statue or figure. It
sounds like only the strong comic shops will survive. Grumps, you think Gotham City Comics will survive?
No, I don't think so. I think that guy's toast.
He had a lot of figures in there, though.
Yeah, he did. He tried to charge me $500 for the jail set, the Rogues Gallery jail set.
Oh, you got to make that money back, man.
It's okay, buddy.
You're the first person coming in, and he's got to squeeze you dry.
Sheesh.
Did you guys ever hear that Stan Lee quote about digital comics? He said, "Comics are like boobs. They look good on a computer, but I'd rather hold one in my hand." Old Stan.
Oh, Joe Biden.
You know the thing.
That's a great point. I mean, we use our phones for everything, but to read a comic on the phone is we've all done it, but it's a little on the difficult side. They're better suited towards tablets, I would say, like a 10-inch tablet. But how many people have those, or walking around with those, or whatever? So.
Well, and you know what? One thing that digital does is makes me appreciate the physical copies more, because when publishing is normal, we get our digitals every week from DC, and I read those on my laptop. So that's almost full size, reading it on a laptop screen.
Yeah.
And still, particularly books that I really like the art in, it leaves me just thinking, I can't wait until I have this physical book in my hand. I want to see what these pages look like for real.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's also a translation that I think, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because they are knowingly meant for a published format, but sometimes I feel like the digital comics will like alter the coloring or the brightness.
Yes.
And it'll throw it off. Like I think they did it with some of like the stuff that every once in a while, like they'll put out like certain runs, discounted runs or whatever, and they'll like update them, and then you could tell they've completely kind of redone the brightness and the saturation of the book, and it just kind of loses the original intent. So it's why you can never go like fucking A, man. Like what the Dark Knight Returns Artist Gallery edition, like how the fuck can you show that off in digital? You can't. Like flipping through that thing and seeing all the scans, like there's no way you can enjoy that digitally. That's something you have to like look through physically, and like holding it for the exact dimensions that Frank was drawing on it, or Todd, whoever you want to say drew that page. And it's like, it's just, that's a good example. Like you'll never be able to fucking replace that. Like the artist editions, the gallery editions, those oversized big ass books.
Well, the good news is that they'll always be able to churn out comic books, because all these creators could do it from their homes, as opposed to things like television, sitcoms, even music. Like those are things that are more complicated, that people have to be around. That it takes a team being there to work on something. Whereas the media of comic books could, the creators can produce it from home. They'll never be backed up, because that's pretty much how they were doing it before this anyway. So
yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Like during this time, are the creators catching up on work, or
I think
ahead?
Probably not.
From the ones we talked to, it sounds like their schedule's the exact same.
Yeah. I know a lot of guys are just working on their regular stuff still. And if then you look at guys like Sean Murphy's putting all his time into getting that indie book ready that he's putting on Indiegogo.
Well, I have seen
Comicsgate Sean Murphy, you mean?
I have seen. Sadly, I have seen some creators on Twitter that work primarily for indies. They were given the notice, "Hey, pencils down for right now." I mean, since Diamond quit shipping, so
yeah, it's gonna be tough. What about isn't DC trying to get a new distributor?
What DC had done was they set up a secondary distributor channel, which was just a couple retailers. One of them was Midtown Comics, and one was another big retailer. And they were having them set up as their distribution channel for some small titles that they were I think a shipment has already maybe gone through them. It was some smaller titles and like some second or third print of the last Batman issue, a second print of the last Nightwing issue. But that was never going to fly because how are you going to expect retailers at large to do their ordering from shops that they see as their competition, for one? And second, the revenue is just nowhere near, like the discounts that they were getting through this option was not anywhere near what shops get from Diamond. So it was, one, more difficult to do your ordering, and two, the profit margin, which is already small on floppies. It's a really small margin on single issues. It just got even smaller. So there was a retailer poll that I had been told about. It was a small sampling of retailers, but just from this one sampling of shops, at least 60% were right off the bat saying, no, I'm not even trying to do that. And that distribution channel was only available in the US. Oh. So let's take that as, let's assume that that's going to be approximately an average. 40% of shops in the US were even going to look at ordering through this new distribution channel. So 40% of regular business in the US and zero business everywhere else because they weren't shipping to other countries. That's not a viable way to keep things going.
Yeah.
So, Robin, are you going to get a Plexi Shield barrier for your shop?
It all really just depends what the city says. Luckily, we haven't been hit all that hard here. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the month we're allowed to, cautiously start opening again. Maybe at first get back to some curbside service, and then maybe the next step, you can have a few people in the shop at a time. But yeah, again, I think it's all going to be regionally. I think we're going to see a lot of different situations happening in different places.
Robin, I want to know what you specifically do to make your customers get the best experience out of that curbside experience.
Well, most of it should not be repeated on the air, but let's say it is indeed customer service.
Well, you got to give them a little something. God.
Oh yeah. Well, let's not say the word little, but it is a perfectly cromulent way for people to come and
he gives
attain the comic book.
He gives curbside assistance. Curbside.
While maintaining socially distancing.
Amen.
Well, you have to be approximately 6 feet long to maintain that social distancing.
So that's it curves at 3 feet. So, comic book drive-through. That was the second best dream. I always dreamed of a 24-hour comic shop. But the comic book drive-through is pretty badass too. But I just think comic book culture is not going to be the same for a long time, because you go to the rack, you look at the titles, you pick up a title, you look through it, you look for the title that's not dented. Everyone else is standing around you. I just don't see that happening for a very long time. I think that's kind of weird. People congregating in comic shops bullshitting about why Batman's the best character ever made. So it would have been free comic book day. It would have been an event where everyone's in the shop, but you can't do that anymore. It's like that, comic book culture is going to be in the textbooks for a while, it's going to be something we're just going to have to talk about to keep alive for a long time, I think, because it's all about going to the shop and, congregating, bullshit and all that. And I just, it's just not going to be like that for a while, so.
It's going to be especially tough, even if there's a second round, like some people have predicted. you know, it's like a second wave of the virus.
And you got to take precautions. It's not like, okay, not many confirmed cases here, so we could ease up. The whole point is to take the precautions so there isn't a wave.
Yeah,
so it's just
exactly.
Oh, it's going to happen. I mean, you know, and Texas will be the epicenter because now everybody, you know, wants to go out and have a picnic now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I saw a little comic strip about that. Someone sent it to me because so many people see, oh, things are starting to get better. Let's go back to normal now. And so the comic strip was this guy was parachuting and he said, oh, the parachute has slowed my descent. I can take it off now. And he takes it off and then plummets to the ground. That's exactly
That's a good analogy, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, well, there were these kids at a park in, I forgot what state, and one of the rangers tried to tell him to break up the crowds, and they pushed him into the water. Stupidity is the real pandemic, you know, at this point.
Yeah.
Stupidity is contagious too, so that's the real
pandemic. And all these people that are out there doing it just because they want to be against authority, like a rebel without a brain. All these people that want to go out and have parties and just to show, look, we're out here ignoring what we're told.
I mean, yeah, you think you're safe when you're out on the sticks, but let me tell you, man, it ain't safe. And but yeah, it's gonna be a shame to see a lot of comic shops and cool businesses in general just not recover from this. You know, that's a real shame. Yes, I don't know. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be interesting to see the coming months, like in terms of comic books. Are people buying more digitally? Well, the good news is that the big two aren't going anywhere, like Marvel and DC. Yeah. If anything, they're gonna get more popular because there's gonna be less entertainment because nobody is filming movies or sitcoms right now. So there's not gonna be anything in the fall. Maybe some sports without audiences, but other than that, there's not gonna be any new. And the shit on TV now, like that they're trying to do from like Zoom or whatever the fuck is so fucking boring. It's like,
and we talked about the effect of digital on comics, but that's another thing that's happening in other mediums too. We've come to the point where movies that were going to be theatrical releases are now going straight to digital.
Yeah, and that sucks because that's another experience we're losing. You know?
Yeah, and did you hear what happened with AMC Theaters?
And Universal, some shit.
Yeah, AMC is, as of right now, they said they are never showing another Universal film again because of a decision that Universal made to make some of their movies digitally available.
So they're screwing over the movie theater.
Yeah.
Very well with Trolls. So.
See, but you know what? It's like, how can you blame them though? Because for the past year, they've invested all this money. They're at a standstill, and they want to get their return on investment. You know, like I see AMC's view, but look at the studio. It's like, hey, we just spent all this money. We want to get this out there so we can get a return on investment, and it ended up working to their benefit. But then AMC got salty about it. But I could see the other side of the studio. You know, it's like...
But that's been a conversation coming for a long time, though, hasn't it?
Yeah. One thing that is part of that, though, that I took this to be a big part of AMC's issue with it was the wording of Universal's statement about how well this movie had done for them because, you know, its gross was close to what the first film in the series was. And then in this case, it was 100% going to them. You know, they didn't have this big cut going to the theaters. But the wording in their statement referred to this being part of their plan moving forward would be to be putting their films out digitally and not putting everything in theaters. So I think that's where AMC was like, okay, well, fuck you guys.
Right.
Well, you know, here's another thing that might happen, and I hope it does. And there's been rumors about drive-through movie theaters coming back, and I think it would make complete sense, to be honest with you.
It's funny you mentioned that because like recently I went to Sonic and we were sitting there in line or whatever. I'm like, fucking Sonic.
Where the fuck did you find the Sonic?
By Green Acres Mall. But anyway,
dude, they are like every corner down here.
Yeah, but their business model is unaffected.
Yeah,
completely
true.
unaffected.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't go into
social
Sonic.
distance.
I hope they bring back the girls on the roller skates.
The car hop girls.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
That's one thing. Restaurants don't have to worry about people buying digital hamburgers, so they're safe.
Oh yeah.
Not yet.
There's a drive-in theater right by me, about like 20 minutes away.
Oh really?
I don't even know if they're still open. They probably can be.
They should be. There's their fucking prime time.
I think it's a great
Holy shit!
idea.
I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna take myself over to see a drive-in movie.
I think that'll be a really good idea. It'll be big business because people want to get. You think everyone's gonna watch every fucking thing at home? They want to get the fuck out and watch something. Like so.
Yeah.
I think drive-in movie theaters would make a lot of sense.
Bro, I just to get out of the house today, I drove to a restaurant, sat in the parking lot, and listened to a podcast while they made the food, just because I didn't want to be at the house. Like I just had to get out.
Yeah. I've been just going out and doing walks because it just kills a few hours. I did one yesterday and I saw a lot more people out than I was used to seeing. So I think a lot of people are getting tired of being in the house and just finding more reasons to get out. To just be out, away from people, but just still be out.
Are they requiring you to wear a mask, or it's still kind of just distancing?
It's some people are wearing masks here, but there hasn't been an order yet. But again, we were not horribly hard hit, luckily.
Right. Yeah, in New York City, everything is kind of like retracting and going reverse, because like from what I'm hearing, it's like the city in itself. Like if you ride the subway now, it's like extremely dangerous. Like, it's like they're saying it's like back to the 80s. Like all this crime is happening.
The homeless people just took over the subway system.
Yeah. Yes.
Is Deacon Blackfire?
Tom and I were just talking about this the other day. That reminded me. Remember when Doug Mankey was on and he had throughout the podcast one cat kept coming in and meowing, but then towards the end, a second cat came in and just went fucking nuts.
And he was the one that said, he was like, "There's a second one in here." Like it was a surprise to him.
So, in conclusion, everything that corresponds with comic shops and comic culture. What about conventions?
Dude.
We're not going to see a convention for another year, I don't think.
Yeah.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
which is weird. That's kind of weird. But...
It is weird, dude. Don't think about there's actual like artists that make a lot of their income off of shows.
Yeah,
and it's like, how do you get your SIGs now? I guess.
Well, a lot of
like
people are taking
services.
A lot of people are taking part in those virtual cons. They're doing it online, where they're doing video chats with fans, and you can mail books in and they sign them and mail them back to you. So something is still happening, but it's definitely not the same experience as getting to be there in the atmosphere of a con and have FaceTime with someone that you've been buying their books for years.
Yeah, get shoulder to shoulder with the unwashed masses.
Yeah.
Just count your blessing. You got to meet Elvira in person, man.
And David Mazzucchelli.
Oh, right before. Damn, right off.
Shit,
at the cutoff.
COVID was probably flowing around that gymnasium when we met him. That shit was like in February.
Yeah.
Right, Teasy?
I know, for sure.
So
they had recorded deaths as far back as February.
So we definitely got Elvira and David Mazzucchelli down before that, because that shit ain't happening.
That was legit the last con experience we had. And Klaus was there too.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys, you got to think, moving forward from this, when things do get up and running again, how many people are going to be cautious about it? So even if a year from now New York Comic Con is happening again, San Diego is happening again, are guys like Frank Miller and Klaus Janson going to be doing those cons?
It's not going to be the same. Everyone's on top of each other at those conventions on top of each other.
But,
it ain't going to go back to that. No way.
We don't know yet because there's still a lot we don't know about the virus. Like, we don't know for sure what immunity is, when people have already contracted it. Do the antibodies mean that you're safe from getting it again? And they're going to start getting vaccines out into the public. So we'll have to see over the next year or whatever what advances are made in being able to keep people safe.
And then even if it is, people are still going to be wary. Like, you know what I mean? Because after a year and a half of this shit, people are going to be having PTSD from this. Because they're going to be doing shit like avoiding people and disinfecting everything for a year and a half. And then you're just not going to jump right back into it.
Yeah.
And then you have the germaphobe people who, nothing will have changed for.
I mean, think about New York Comic Con. The fact that we all go and we spend 90% of the time in Artist Alley, where you can barely move. It's like that's never going to happen again. I don't see, even if they brought their capacity down to 50%, that's not New York Comic Con. It's such a struggle just to get in, and that's just the nature of the Javits Center and whatever it is. They can't have that again.
I think
there's just no control or rhyme or reason.
The Javits Center is like a hospital or some sort of
makeshift hospital.
Yeah, but it's closing.
Hospital.
They didn't have to use as much of it after all. The thing though is even if they do lift all these restrictions, I think people are still scared. They're still going to be scared, and it's gonna reduce the amount of traffic in general, especially in the areas that were like really badly hit. And I think it's going to be that way for a bit, probably up until they get a legitimate vaccine out there. And man, it's like I think Gavin Newsom, the the California governor, said that large gatherings like conventions and concerts, they will not be probably happening any of 2020, probably not until like March of 2021.
Yeah.
So it's
and then people.
I'm wondering, what does the vaccine situation look like? So, they develop a vaccine, and then do you have to put that on your driver's license that you got the vaccine?
They're making Clorox chewables. That's what they're doing.
Well, even when they make a vaccine, that doesn't mean that this strain won't mutate, just like the regular flu. The regular flu changes so frequently that the vaccine you're getting for it is from the one from the last season or season before that. So
far this one's mutating slowly. That's what Fauci said.
Well, here's what's getting crazy is that this is going from humans to animals, and who knows if it's coming back from that. There was a gorilla. Yeah, the tigers at the New York Zoo.
Tigers, yeah.
There was a tiger that caught the COVID, and then they were testing. I want to say it was in Dallas. Dallas has been crazy. Like the Dallas Zoo, they had their male silverback gorilla just kind of die unexpectedly recently. Now they think it was kind of heart congestion stuff, but then a second one died. And they've done some testing on that, but there have been some confirmed cases where I saw on the news where a cat had it and a dog had it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they say cats and dogs do pretty well with it, and they can't transmit it to other species or human, but I think humans can transmit it to.
Damn, we're dirty as fuck. Humans giving it to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, stop fucking these animals, people. Jesus, come on.
But yeah, I mean, as far as comic book conventions, not till 2022, if you ask me, because no one's gonna just jump right back into it.
Much more reasonable.
Yeah, and think of you have to have the people who put it on be willing to put it on, and the way they see it, that's on them.
Large gatherings in general, rules and regulations, I think, are just gonna change for gatherings and how people go about it.
Hey, but you know what? Stay-at-home order protests all day long, baby. Crowds of hundreds of thousands out there, man.
it's a good time to be a comic book fan because catching up and reading comic books. I just reread Nailbiter. I'm reading the Batman Black and White Omnibus right now. I'm like halfway through that again, and I tell you, it's some good shit, man. It's like, you can only watch so much TV or movies and shit until you kind of like drone out. But I think the comic book experience, because you're reading and processing images, it's just, it's good shit, man. Especially if you have a nice library, physical and having physical media is really nice too, because you're always on the screen.
Why places should be selling more than just current books. Particularly in a time like this, nothing new is coming out. If you have an active website or social media where you can be showing your customers what you have in the shop, you have people say, oh yeah, I never got around to reading that. I'm going to call up or message them and see if I can get that delivered tomorrow.
So Robin, what are you guys doing with your back issues? Are you like collecting runs or storylines or?
We do that all the time. That's ever evolving. So almost weekly. Any time that a run or a mini series or a story arc is ending, we're packaging up the whatever number of sets we had collected as it was coming out and putting out those packaged sets for sale. And so we have a huge. I would say it. Right now, we have probably, conservatively 500 packaged sets of, various, whether it's miniseries or long runs, etc. It could be anything from a 4-issue miniseries to the entire Snyder Capullo Batman run. We have those everywhere in the store. We have long boxes full of packaged sets. And then just upstairs alone, we have around 100 long boxes of single back issues just upstairs alone. And then all the dollar books. And then downstairs there are drawers and shelves and boxes of books as well. So back issues, new stuff, sets, and then on to trade paperbacks, hardcovers. There's so much that's out there. Any shop that has been diversifying their product line outside of just what's new that week should have tons of stuff that they can still offer.
Yeah, I was thinking about Royal selling a lot of their stuff out of the shop, but what happens if they run low on their stock that they have in there? Well, they have a lot of stuff, but still, it's they need to. I know the new books that come in kind of usually cover the rent to keep the lights on and stuff like that. So it's smart the way to stay afloat during this time. I mean, when is it? When is this thing on until where it expires? May 15th, Grumps?
In New York, yeah, May 15th.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna get renewed anyway, but people are doing what they gotta do.
Well, have you guys been seeing
statues and toys and stuff coming?
Well, diamond ships, yeah. I wonder what's going on with that McFarlane black and white statue. I was thinking about that one.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a lot of the black and whites. Those are nice pieces, man. That Court of Owls one and the Gotham by Gaslight one. There's some bangers coming out this year.
The Frank Miller armored Batman coming.
They'll come out with them. It's just a matter of when. But have you guys seen and been paying attention to the prices of the Jim Lee sketches that he's been auctioning off? Dude, so he's only through. He's not even halfway through. He's doing 60 total, and he's on number 29 right now. And every piece has sold around $10,000.
And those are going to comic shops?
Yeah, 95% of the proceeds are going to I think every piece is going to go to a specific. Every piece that sells, that money will go to a specific comic shop. And if you think about it, $10,000 to one comic shop right now,
that's gonna help.
So it could be argued that Jim Lee is saving 60 comic shops right now in the U.S. or wherever he sends it to. So
there's been a lot of them that have exceeded about 14 or 15 grand. So it's literally the price of a car.
Tease has bought one.
Wow.
Tease is making that bread right now. He's working he's working 16-hour days, man, at the crib.
That's what I was going to mention earlier. I would think, especially the big two, it would be an incentive of theirs to keep these shops in business and to help the shops out.
Yeah,
anyway.
They know.
The big two are fine. I think it's the indies are gonna hurt big time.
Yeah.
Those every piece that he's auctioning off will eventually be a cover for
That's
a book.
cool. Yeah, that would be a great, incredible book. I saw an interview where he said like he regret that he should have done 20 instead of 60.
Oh, for them to go higher.
Yeah, because he said 60 is just insane.
Yeah,
and it's really a lot. Like for the amount of sketches that he's doing, it's every piece is just incredible, and it's like he should have just done 20 and then just like maybe like sold prints or like a book or
Yeah. Well,
but what he's doing is insane. Like
right,
I read the details on eBay. I think it said something like 95% of it is going towards shops, and then maybe 5% maybe goes towards him. So
who knows?
Other artists are doing things too, like Stankovic and
Frank Miller too.
Miller.
He's jumping in.
Big Frank.
I can't wait to see what he does.
Fabic is doing one where he's doing 5 signed prints, 3 signed issues, and that one Batman piece. That's like, I think it's
an original piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's starting at $3K. The Jim Lee ones get up to like 14, 15K, and they start at 0. That's fucking nuts.
I know.
Legend's putting down that card.
He's trying.
Putting down that black card.
He's got a funny way of saving for a house.
I just applied for that DC Comics credit card.
So it sounds like the big two will be okay, but it's going to be really interesting to see moving forward. I think the comic book industry is going to get a lot of support because you know what, these nerds, they spend big money, man. There's money, and they're like itching to pump more money in the industry too. People are like going out, risk being exposed to fucking pick up their comics. You know what I mean? So, even in Queens, we got like, people are supporting Royal there. Well, they would do pickup, but they're just mailing out right now. But they ask if there's pickup as well. So it's like, they're feeding. It's like their fix. So now also DC used to do a direct mailing subscription as well. Now that I think about it, wasn't Sherry getting that? Like her comics directly mailed to her from DC, and sometimes they mail it shit a week early. I think.
Yeah.
So there's those services too, which are pretty.
I was gonna say I haven't picked up much comics since this whole quarantine. Like, God knows I've read millions, but I've definitely gotten back in touch with my collection. Some of you guys, seen the pictures and shit.
And that ain't nothing. Trunks ain't picked up his comics in 3 years. Imagine what that pull list is like.
I almost feel like it makes this stuff more valuable. Thinking about
kind of.
The day you could just walk in a shop. It's like groceries. Like getting groceries now. It's like feels so amazing, just everything. Yeah, to get your to get a new stack of comics that just came out.
Comic shops are gonna go the way of liquor stores in the hood or Chinese food stores where they they put the plexiglass, 3-inch plexiglass and a window
and a shotgun. The thing is, there's just but when you think about it, there's just not really that many comic shops in general. That's why I'm like, damn. They could this make them go close to extinction with just a handful of shops, in the world? I don't know. We'll see.
That's why I hope they get the support from DC and Marvel.
Or small business help too from the government would be nice.
Yeah. Well,
I guess it's in the form of a loan, but I don't know.
I mean,
loans.
Yes.
The big corporate industries get bailouts, but small businesses get loans.
Yeah, that's terrible, man. It's that's fucking.
I mean, why can't a comic shop just deliver like pizza? Pizza kind of thrives.
Yeah.
The whole delivery aspect is something very basic, but I think it's something that can help them survive.
And everything else is being delivered. Like there are restaurants that I've ordered from so many places that I could never get delivered before. Last week I ordered a chicken Caesar pita and had it delivered. That's insane.
Yo, yeah, Roses is delivering now, from what I
Yes,
understand.
Oh,
That's
man.
insane. They've been around since the 70s, never
Yeah.
delivered. They never had to.
No.
You know? Now the tables have turned. And
You have to. You're forced to adapt.
they must get so much freaking business though, right, Grump? Now that they're
I've
delivering.
been there twice during quarantine. I've been to Roses.
Yeah, but the one on Metro delivers. I don't know if the one on Maspeth delivers, but they're
No, not
delivering.
yet. But I've been
I'm about to order.
Yeah.
Graham's gonna have some poor guy on a bike pedaling his ass out to Texas.
Freeze dried, you know. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
What do we have to look forward
Pedal that
to?
bike nice and close here, boy.
So we what we got? We got 3 Jokers. We got death metal. What else is? Did anyone get the hardcover? Order the hardcover for Creature of the Night, the Batman story?
oh shit!
That's a nice trade.
Did it get shipped out yet?
Yeah, I think InStock has it. I wonder what InStock's shipping turnaround is right now with everything that's going on. But they're from like Georgia, so everything's okay because they like reopened everything in Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's all good.
Yeah, Georgia's fine.
Get a COVID with the trade.
Yeah, seriously, they got like 1,000 new cases too. It's just-
What a shocker!
but I'll still order in stock trades. Just leave it on the porch for a day, man. That's what
it.
But I do miss in stock.
You're not lying on that. I mean, shit. When shit gets delivered, I spray that shit down.
Hell yeah, Graham.
So what you do is what you can do is if you have a cardboard box, you could just have gloves. Open the shit out of the cardboard box, take it out, and just throw the cardboard box out, and then don't let that touch any surfaces, you know. But
yeah, just wash your hands immediately.
Yeah.
And just keep it moving. That's it. The situation is done.
Shout out to Shaolin Villains and Vigilantes or whatever for sending me Lysol and Clorox wipes. That shit is liquid.
Oh.
That shit's liquid gold. Wow. That's the one thing you can't find anywhere. What was that?
I caught 2 bottles of Clorox wipes at the Dwayne Reed by your house.
Really?
Hell yeah. Yes, sir.
Damn.
That day I went over there,
Really?
yeah, it was the
How
last
many hits did that you guys take in a day? Like how many shots?
It's no different than those Tide Pods.
Dude, Clorox wipes are going for $45 right now on eBay.
Well, you need Clorox
My ass
wipes.
goes, get your butthole nice and clean.
Clorox. I mean, those wipes are important because if you're bringing home groceries that are in packaging that got to go in the fridge right away, you gotta wipe them shits down. You know, like
everything that comes to my house gets wiped down, including myself.
You guys hear how that Chris Cuomo's wife was taking baths of bleach?
Oh my god!
Oh my
She was
God.
pouring a cup of bleach into her bath every night.
Jesus Christ.
I watched her yoga video with that other girl. I'm like, damn, this chick is so damn healthy. like
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Everyone in the comment section is like, Fredo!
Oh,
Fredo! What life is fiction right now.
Yeah, like eventually you'll see on the news he'll be like, you know, I had to shoot my brother. I took him out on the boat in the lake.
Oh no!
He's like, you gotta take a test. You gotta
He
take
failed
a
the
test.
Cuomo, no.
Like, you're my brother, but you gotta take a few tests before you come here.
As long as my mother lives, you are my brother. But once she dies, you're nothing to me.
Has anybody watched an episode of Rogan during this and see what he's doing?
No.
He's
Isn't
asking
he?
everybody that comes in.
Yeah, he's got a doctor. He's got enough money that he has a doctor there, and when the guests arrive, the doctor tests them, and if they're okay, then they come in and do the show.
Wait, they do a nasal swab?
I don't know what they're doing, but
No.
they're all getting tested on
Yeah,
the
but
spot.
if he has his own doctor, I mean, you need a lab to do a test that'll
That
do
takes time.
a couple of hour turnaround.
They got the ones that I think what they do is they come in early and it takes 2 hours because that's how Lolo's Hospital just got the 2 hour ones.
Yeah.
So
That's
far, I
cool.
think that's the fastest.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Has
cool.
he had to turn anybody away yet?
The last I saw, he said no one had tested positive yet.
Speaking of which, you guys see those UFO leak videos were confirmed real?
Yeah, and nobody cares because of what's
they
going
waited they waited till everyone was preoccupied with this shit to release that shit.
Like, oh yeah, and by the way, aliens are real.
That's insane. And this year's supposed to be the hottest year on recorded record too. They're saying
it was 90 degrees today.
So
and I was outside hauling stone for flower beds.
Again?
Again, yes. Again.
Like you texted me 2 weeks ago. You're like, I think I moved like 1,300 pounds worth of stones.
1,700 today.
Yes.
Shit. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
I'm worried.
I don't even think I took. I'm looking at my step counter. I didn't even take 17,000 steps today.
Grandpa Batman workout video coming out soon. Shit.
That's why, like on Twitter, I saw where the Mountain on King of Thrones broke the world record for deadlifting like 1,100 pounds. I'm like, that ain't shit, man. I moved 1,700 today.
Incrementally.
Yeah.
That's like the weather you have today is probably like among the hottest days we would get in the dead of summer, like peak heat in July.
It's going to be
That's
like
the hottest we would get.
We just skip spring. We just go right to summer.
Yeah, it's fucking May. What the fuck?
I don't know.
It's gonna be 75 in New York tomorrow.
Yeah, 77. Can't wait.
I think we're done. If we get through 2020, we should get like a badge for that shit.
2020 is like Britney Spears 2006. Like this is what she went through in 2006. She shaved her fucking head.
So what?
Went crazy.
There are a lot of people having that year. A lot of people are going quarantine crazy and just doing crazy stuff while they're locked in.
I tell you, man, I never realized how corny and useless celebrities were until this quarantine thing. My God.
Did you hear about Ellen? So you know how all these TV shows, obviously they're not in production or they can't, but a lot of them are doing like at home shit.
Yeah.
Instead of using some of her actual staff, she went and she hired a fucking like Scab entertainment company to come and do it at her place. So she's not even paying any of her employees. She's paying this other company, and all her like staff and employees are pissed.
Wow.
Yeah, but aren't they all union? So if the
one?
union, they're Warner Bros. They're all union. So if the union says, you can't work, then
I don't think they said that. I don't think they said they couldn't work. I think the stipulation was more of the studio not allowing for production. So you can do it at their house if you allow them to work at your house.
I read somewhere where the union was involved with that. So
with her.
Yeah, with her show, and so
sounds like a
sounds
like a good PR.
So what? What's the next?
Shit anyway.
What's the next
story
arc? Story arc. You guys got time to read. What's the next story arc you want to do? We never did Court of Owls. I've been itching to chip away at that New 52 Batman omnibus.
Snyder's gonna do Nightwing.
Ugh.
Not if I had anything to do with it.
Wait, I don't.
Yeah, Court of Owls could be cool. Like do that little Talon run too.
Black Mirror.
I think we should do Kevin Smith's Batman. Cacophony and Widening Gyre. What do you?
I mean, that shit is really bad. It's just it's like I read it. I mean, it's just not good. I don't know. I can't believe he.
You don't like a whole arc with Maxie Zeus as a villain?
I mean, you got Batman pissing his pants and smoking weed and this, and I'm just like, well,
Damn.
I don't know if it's better than Odyssey or not, but if you get through Neil Adams' Odyssey, then who knows? There's only a handful of stories in the 80-year history that are not good. Everything else is at least good and up. You know what I mean? Good or good to great. What about Harleen? We didn't do Harleen, and that's a banger.
The Dini digital stuff that's been dropping.
Did we ever do Death in the Family? Was that BG before Grumps?
No, we never did that.
No, that'd be a good one.
Death in or Death
I like the
of?
whole.
No, Death in the Family.
Death in the Family too.
Yeah,
I mean that might be a good continuation since we just finished the Cult You know?
That Colt, man, was a banger. You guys went into overtime.
Man, that took me a long time to edit because we had like 7 or 8 people, and I don't know what it was. Well, it was like, I don't know if it was our connection, but with that many people, it's like someone would speak, and then there'd be a long pause, and then someone else. And so I was like having to clip those together.
Overloading.
Yeah, having that many people is always a problem.
Have you? Oh, you know what? I think New 52 would be good. The Snyder Capullo stuff, because
I think so too.
You got Court of Owls, Night Owls. I'm itching to reread Death of the Family.
Yeah, I want to do a 0 year and to see.
There you go.
To see if it holds up or not. Like, everyone shit on it when it was coming out monthly, but I want to revisit to see if it actually is like that good or not. I want to
I would have liked it if it was like 4 issues.
Yeah,
it was a year, wasn't it?
Fucking forever.
Yeah, I kind of like the whole Riddle bots taking over the city and stuff like that. So
yeah, because they're winding down their run finally. So it'd be a good idea to go back and start it from at least through 0 year.
And then Endgame's one of my favorite arcs. I loved Endgame in the New 52 run.
It can be a good time to review some of their hits leading into death metal.
Right.
Yeah. Like, man, we never got the Dark Knights metal fucking omnibus, man. The shit was supposed to come out and never came out. I really wanted to.
When?
Well, Snyder spilled the beans, and then I don't know what happened. Like, they just never solicited.
Oh, you're right.
But it was supposed to be a Dark Knights metal omnibus, which would have fucking been a banger.
Maybe they're trying to wait for this.
Yeah, that would have been good. But yeah, I wouldn't mind reading that again too. I like the Dark Knights and Batman and Laughs and all those. Was it Dawnbreaker and all those guys? Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, the one shots were good.
But
the one shots of those, and also what was the other one, Robin? The one where it had the Teen Titans issue.
Gotham Resistance.
Yes, was it Gotham Resistance?
Yeah, there were 2 side stories that got collected in one trade paperback. Gotham Resistance was one. What was the other? But I think that first appearance of Batman Who Laughs was in Gotham Resistance.
Yeah, I think I like that one just as much as the main one.
Kingdom Come would be an interesting read too. That's we should cover some of the classics, or even what's the Darwin Cook one?
New Frontier.
New Frontier, which is we could just bang.
You know what I would like to try, and this is just my idea, is like I would like to also discuss stories that are in the Gotham setting, but other characters besides just Batman, like your Nightwing, your Huntress, your Catwoman titles or something like that.
Good ones, like what are the best of?
Yeah. Not just Batman.
Yeah. Would be a good idea to make a list.
Just like what are everything? Because I think listeners and people that follow us, they'd be interested in that.
Well, you got 80 years to choose from, so
yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'd still want to do a little Golden Age Mondays. I still want to see if I could hit that mark. There's so much good shit. Even animated movie reviews or stuff like that. There's so much shit we actually haven't covered.
The guy who designs the packaging for the animated films, Scott McGrath, he runs a death metal label called Maggot Stomp Records, and I just got to talking to him because of the record label. I was like, oh yeah, this and that, and he's like, oh yeah, I designed I designed the Blu-ray packaging for all the DC animated films. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I've worked on some of the transition and like the title cards for inside the movie too. I'm like, what the fuck? And so he's down to come on, so we could like talk to him about the shit that he's done with the packaging for all the DC Universe animated titles.
What about the girl that edits the Batman books? If we're gonna have these CD designers on, we might as well have the editor.
Yeah, I've been talking to Grumps is talking about someone else, but I've talked to Molush and also to the DC office people, but I wasn't expecting to hear back from the office workers during this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Anyone else watch the Harley Quinn series on the DC app? Cause,
I saw episode 1.
That's all I've seen. Everyone who has that it's good.
Yeah, I actually want to watch it soon, so maybe we could do that too. That looks good.
Yeah.
I heard it's pretty funny, so I'm gonna check that out. But yeah, so that's our take on possibilities and theories that might happen in the future with comic shops, conventions, and possible comic arc reviews that we got coming up soon.
Go home.
Like we said, just try your best to help your local comic shop, because you're just helping yourself, you're helping your friends.
Yep. Help your local
comic shop.
And if you're a person running a shop and you're not opening your doors in some capacity, you're hurting yourself and your customers, Good. Hustle a bit,
Yeah.
Get out, do some deliveries or some mailing, make it happen.
Yeah, support your local small businesses, your comic shops, your mom and pop restaurants or whoever. Take out, get some food, put a fucking mask on, and stay safe. Read comics, and we'll see you in the next episode of Bat Force Radio, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Hey, Gotham dwellers. Make sure to stop everything right now and subscribe to Bat Force Radio. We can be found on iTunes and SoundCloud. Don't miss out. Guaranteed to satisfy all of your Batman and DC needs.